Okay, welcome back. As we continue talking about the research on literacy for students with significant disabilities, let's talk more about how in terms of access. The right or opportunity to use or benefit from something. Do you have access to a computer? When discussing accessibility, most people think about it in a physical sense. Can you reach it? Can you manipulate it? Can you use it? All of which are extremely important. Jones and Bailey and Orr implore staff to recognize that when developing and using a symbol system for communication and literacy experiences, there should be some consideration to the storage and display of the symbols and transporting of the symbols for communication so that there will be maximum access and use of that system. When you think about how and where the materials will be stored, the place needs to be easily organized, easily to get in and out of, or the symbols aren't going to be used. The pieces will be lost or just even too much trouble to even get out. It will not even be used often or at all. And to successfully give meaning within the social interactions, the symbols will need to be consistently used and consistently accessible so that they will be implemented in use. However, mere access to the content is inadequate as assistive technology unless the access is mediated by instructional design supports appropriate for the specific disability of that user. Students with multiple or intellectual disabilities or deafblindness need access to literature. According to Downing, making literature accessible means more than physically being accessible, but also cognitively accessible. The literature needs to be in a form that the student can make sense of and relate to gain understanding. Are we seeing a theme yet? In other words, access to comprehensive literacy instruction can help give us meaning and social communication opportunities. To make sure we're still on the same page, if I gave you a sheet that looks like this paper, can you read it? Is it accessible to you? Unless you're a visual braille reader, probably not. When we give our students access to content, it must be within the context of uniquely designed instruction, which has been built around the individual student's strengths and skills. Then he would have true access to the content. Remember, when we said Jones and Bailey Orr tell us the student is entitled to receive language in the same mode he or she is using to produce language. If the student is using a Dynavox, then all the teachers and peers need to understand how to use that Dynavox to share their thoughts, ideas, and questions. This can help maximize the student's understanding, right? This is providing access by making communication meaningful through symbolic words and interactions. If the student is using objects to communicate, I can use them to explain what it's time for. I can use the objects to help the student write a story. I can use icons and other symbols in the same way that we speak or write with words, which will allow time for more information to be accessible to the student with significant disabilities.
Walmart. Yes. Yes. Piano. Yes, Walmart's piano.
Walmart does have a piano, Jake.
What? Do you want piano for? What do you want piano for? I want C. Ride.
That one says CD player. That one says piano.
Yeah, no. Package. Yes, I want the right piano package.
Okay.
Money. Do you have all the money? No. How much money do you need to buy piano?
There's the 8 and there's the 5. I know, they need to be color coded, don't they?
8.
Oops. Okay, listen, look. I need to color code these because you can't see them very good. Here, delete character. There's the 5 right there. Did you see how I paired my verbal with the use of his words on his device? I used the essential points of my phrase, but not every word I said. That's okay to do. You need to let your speech language pathologist be the one that guides how you do that in your system with that student. And collaborate with them to determine what level of symbol systems you're going to use. How do we choose accessibility methods? Here's some things for the team to consider. The concept of a word is a very important early phonemic awareness skill. For beginning readers, that involved recognizing words as a distinct element within the text. Browder and colleagues illustrated in their work it's not necessary to choose between functional reading and literacy-based reading. Students can benefit from having both sight word instruction that is blended with literacy activities. So don't overlook these emergent literacy aspects for our students. According to Erickson, Hatch, and Clendon, emergent reading and writing skills can be developed into conventional reading and writing skills. However, according to Browder and Spooner, in order to develop the more conventional reading and writing skills, the student with severe disabilities must develop knowledge of text structures, which requires experience with a broad range of texts and narrative and expository notes and letters. In order for students to develop this knowledge from experiences, they will need access to it both physically and cognitively. When we provide opportunities to create written language, we increase the student's access and experiences with text. Browder and colleagues tell us that students must have the instructional method of writing, whether it be with a pencil, typing software, word prediction software, or some other software or method that would require a phonemic understanding and phonemic skills for spelling. The ability to create written language is important for all students because it opens another important avenue for communication. Have we heard that before? Since written expression is just another form of communication, we need to find accessible methods that will work for students with significant disabilities through assistive technology options. These options can and should be with the current communication system, if there is one. However, it doesn't have to be limited to that single device if that is not effective. Erickson, Hatch, and Clendon state, without immediate access to assistive technology, most students with significant intellectual disabilities will fail to access information and successfully engage as learners. So we must be able to provide access to the right tools to allow that student the opportunity to develop the written expression. In Carnahan, Williamson, Hollinghead, and Israel's work, using technology to support balanced literacy for students with significant disabilities, they encourage us to remember that the student's unique learning needs and their individual interests can also identify the most effective tools and adaptations to maximize the learning process. In Erickson and Copenhaver's work, they state the right stuff needs to be available for some students with disabilities either will not or cannot write until we discover what conditions work for them. But I wanted to share with you really quick one resource to help you. Hopefully, you kind of have an idea of where your student is, but if you don't, this tool by Kathy Strogler has been a great help to me. I'd like to mention it because it's a literacy rubric. It's been helpful in identifying where a student's current literacy skills are. It's been very useful as an assessment tool because most literacy assessments aren't appropriate for the kind of kiddos we're talking about. So the nice thing is this particular rubric can be used over time so you can see where the next developmental levels are going to be and whether your student's making progress over time in a portfolio. And hopefully using something like this rubric can help guide you in your instructional strategy needs. This can be downloaded from aacinterventions.com. Tips of the month, June 2009. Back to the All About You form. There's a section for accessibility on that form. I want you to go ahead and take about 5 minutes, think about your student, and jot down what you know about the assistive technology that student is currently using, both low-tech and high-tech. Use the questions in the directions portion to help guide your thinking. Remember, it doesn't have to be a sophisticated technology system. Is there an unmet need in this area for your student? If so, list that need so it can be addressed later. It will be very important for your team to consider a variety of options to providing access to a form of written expression. If you or the student you're working with has more assistive technology needs, please use the list of resources on the assistive technology links on the website, and they will also be listed in the end of the presentation. There are a lot of tools out there to help with problem solving. Please make use of them.